I forgot to point. Hello.
Hello, hello everyone, and welcome to MeowMix, a Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven,
My name is Jerry.
and we are here to finish off the season. We're gonna recap the season. We're gonna talk. About the season. We're gonna talk about free agent signings, what worked out, what didn't. Maybe get some grades. The draft. We're gonna talk about that as well. We're going to do some awards.
Yeah.
Going to give out some hardware to these guys. We're going to go over our predictions that we had in the beginning of the year and subsequently through the year. As many as we could find, at least. Because I don't know if we could find
Oh,
more.
no. I went back and I did a lot of listening to us talking.
Okay.
For those of you, I'm sorry. I heard us.
Oh, Jerry. We'll just kind of recap the season. So look out for that. We're going to start just kind of talking about what happened.
The Panthers ended up finishing 7-10, second in the NFC South, and we will be drafting 9th overall in the upcoming draft. Started off very rocky, started off 1-4, and then the big news hit that should have happened last offseason. Matt Rule was fired, letting Steve Wilkes take over as interim coach, and he ended up going 6-6, and he gave this team an identity. He gave us hope down the stretch. It was at least fun towards the end of the season. I had a blast at the Christmas Eve game against Detroit, freezing my rear end off.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, it felt to me the first time since David Tepper bought the team that this was the Panthers, that this was the Panthers team that I grew up watching, that up until Ron Rivera got fired, and really even before that, it kind of lost that identity. Steve Wilkes came back, and I mean, it felt like 2015, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, after that first game, it felt different. It really did.
Yeah.
Even though that he went 6-5 in that stretch, it felt like it was picking up steam. It stinks that it didn't finish off with the playoffs with having hope, but man, it felt good.
It did. It was nice to care about football, like really care about it again in December.
Like have hope in December.
That we've missed it so many years in a row now. It's not like the Panthers have ever been some, team that's had all, sustained success for years. We've never had back-to-back winning seasons. We had the 3 division championships in a row, but that kind of has an asterisk. But it's been a while for us since we've been relevant.
2017 was our last
up and down.
Yeah. 2017 was our last winning season. So
it felt good. It felt good to be talked about in the news and nationally. We're in conversations, and it's fun. It's fun to be a part of a football team like that. So really enjoyed the Steve Wilkes experience. Don't know if he's done enough to get the full-time job. We'll see, but it was a breath of fresh air.
It really was. I mean, you really can't say enough of, what a culture difference. I mean, you could tell it the way the players played for Steve Wilkes compared to Matt Rule. It just seemed like Matt Rule was this whole organization was dysfunctional under him. We kept trying and hoping that things would work out. It just never did.
Yeah. I mean, just look at player press conferences after Matt Rule was fired. They're so much happier. Just their demeanor, the way they speak, what they say, it was completely different. So you're right. The culture was just absolutely 180 better than what Matt Rule had here. But really, you could say this season kind of came down to 2 things. You could almost point to 2 points in time. The missed kicks in Atlanta. The game that we should have won, and for multiple reasons, I honestly feel like we got screwed out of. And then the Bucks game.
Yeah.
Those are your 2 pivot points for the season, and unfortunately, we came up short on both of those, and that's why we're not in the playoffs.
Yeah. I personally think J.C. Horn's injury in Detroit.
Yeah.
Because I really think him on Mike Evans would have not let 3 huge touchdowns. And they didn't do much else. Let's be real. Like, if you take away those, unfortunately you can't, and they won. And I'm not.
Unfortunately, it was a massive part of the game.
But, with C.J. Henderson and Keith Taylor out there, they just had no way to defend Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So.
Yeah, you're right. J.C. Horn injury, huge. Jerry, we had multiple quarterbacks this year. We started off with a guy that was in camp for like 2 weeks before the season started, in Baker Mayfield. We had Sam Darnold, who was the bane of our existence last year. And we had P.J. Walker, who we didn't even think was going to be on the team this year.
Yeah.
Before Sam Darnold got hurt and Matt Corral got hurt. And then, of course, in the preseason, we had Matt Corral. We were kind of looking forward to seeing him. We would have seen them this year.
Oh, yeah.
100% guarantee he would have played this year. So just an odd season. An odd season all around.
I feel like the past 4 years we've played multiple quarterbacks, multiple games.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think you're probably right.
I think maybe Teddy Bridgewater year maybe just PJ Walker that year. Or no.
PJ, I think, did play one game that year, I think. So yeah. Maybe Teddy. That might have been the last one where we knew we had a starting quarterback at least, right?
Yeah.
Where we felt like we had a guy that was going to start the whole season. Yeah, the whole Matt Rule era though, just
turnstile.
Not an experience that we enjoyed.
No.
To say the least.
Felt like a root canal.
Yeah, but he's gone. We don't have to talk about him anymore. We don't.
But we will.
We will. But just an interesting season overall, and a season, Jerry, where we had some new faces.
Oh yes, we had quite a few new faces. We're going to look back at last year's free agent signings, kind of grade them to see what happened, what we liked, what we didn't like, who we should have not signed. We're going to start off with the top player on here. Center Bradley Bozeman signed a 1-year, $2.8 million. Yeah.
That's a win.
That's a win. He should have been starting from day one. Unfortunately, he did not. It took Matt Rule getting fired. Again, Matt Rule. Someone needs to play a drinking game with Matt Rule on this podcast.
Let's put a moratorium on Brad. We'll call him former coach. But yeah, I mean, Bozeman came in for Pat Elflein midway through the season, and the upgrade was obvious.
Mm-hmm.
It was really obvious, and Bozeman had a very good season. Now, Bozeman wasn't like an all-star Pro Bowl type center in Baltimore when he came over. In fact, I think he had moved over to center pretty recently. But he played it really well here, and I hope that the Panthers re-sign him for multiple years.
I
27.
I agree. He was really the glue. The running game really took off once he took over, being able to call out the blocks and stuff like that. So yeah, he's an integral part of that offensive line.
Yeah.
Now the next player,
that's an A.
Yeah,
that's an
A.
Right? Yeah.
Another one, guard Austin Corbett, 3 years, $26.2 million.
I think that's another win. Yeah, easy A.
The
I'm glad that we've got him for multiple years as well.
Yeah, he did tear his ACL last game. Unfortunately, it sounds like he's going to be rehabbing that up until training camp, maybe into training camp. So hopefully he gets right.
Yeah, he says he's hoping to be ready for the beginning of the season, but I mean, that's going to be a tall task, I think.
Yeah.
But he will be back next season. He will be back during the season at some point. So, but that's an A.
Yeah, 100%.
He played really well. Yep.
You could say the next one.
Next one here, probably one of the biggest ones of the season, Deontay Foreman. A 1-year, $2 million deal.
A+.
How can you say anything except A+? This was a great sign.
Yeah,
I ended up being our starting running back for the last, 12 games?
Almost had 1,000-yard season in 12 games.
Excellent. Had 2 kind of bad games.
Yeah.
but he had multiple really good games. So another guy that I hope they re-sign and bring back.
Yeah, me too. I think we discussed this previously on the podcast that, he's done enough to bring back. You can't give
Yeah.
him a ton of money because of the way he plays, but
Mm-hmm.
I definitely would like him back. Give him a little bit of raise. You know,
Yeah.
he deserves
Hey,
it.
5 million a year, something like that. I think that's for his tier of running back. I think that's about what they get. So
Yeah. And you pair him with
I'd love to see him
Chuba,
back.
the
Yeah.
1-2. It
Yep.
works.
Just
Uh,
draft a guy in the 5th round or something. Who
yeah.
knows? Next
Uh,
guy, another win.
yeah. You know him, you love him. Johnny Hecker, 3 years, 7.6 million.
A+. I
Yep.
mean, I think that's a Foreman level, if not even a little higher signing. And again, another guy, multiple years, good salary, weapon. He's just a weapon.
He really is. I
Great
mean,
signing.
people don't. A lot of people don't recognize the impact punters can have, and
Yeah,
he pinned them inside the 20 more times than any other Carolina Panther in history. So
yeah, yeah. Good season.
yeah, good season.
Yeah, A+. Next guy, Rashard Higgins.
1 year,
1 year,
1.1.
1.1 million. So, money wise, not like a total bust, but total bust. Like he didn't even play.
He was scratches towards the end of the season. I mean,
Yeah. And I was high on him. I thought he was gonna be what he was in Cleveland. A solid number 3 receiver. Maybe number 2 on this team early in the season. But he did nothing. It was really disappointing.
yeah. Defensive tackle Matt Ioannidis. 1 year, 9.5 million. I want to say A, but I feel like I've been given too many A's.
No, I've given it an A. I mean, it's an A. He played really well. And
Yeah,
that's not a crazy deal. And I hope they bring him back for like 3 years, 27 million or
I
something.
I
And
think signing him helped out Derek Brown so much because he
yeah,
was able to free up Derek Brown to be Derek Brown.
yeah. I thought he was at least as good as Daquan Jones was last year. Or
I would
year
say
before
better.
last. Yeah, I was saying like at least as good, and we gave him more money. So I think Ioannidis, that was a good deal, and I hope that they bring him back.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Corey Littleton, linebacker, 1 year, 2.6 million. So like I think this is a B.
I was gonna say a B. He played pretty well for that contract. It's not even.
It's almost an A for the contract
Yeah, he
for as much as he
contributed.
played.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had some splash plays. He had some really good games. Then he had some games where he was kind of average.
Mm-hmm.
But I never really remember him being like at the bottom of the PFF list or anything.
No, he was actually one of our highest rated defensive
Yeah,
players.
yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna give that maybe a B+. But that's the only bad thing about it is, and with most of these deals, it's just a 1 year deal.
Yeah.
Like you get these guys that come in and perform, you wish you had them for 2 or 3 years.
Frankie Luvu last year. I mean, then we signed him to a 2 year deal, and
Right. And now I wish we'd have signed him to a 5. He's so dang good. All right, the next guy here, Damian Wilson.
I'm
The
gonna
guy we did give multiple years to. 2 years, 6.9 million.
I'm gonna give him a C-.
Yeah.
I felt like they wanted more out of him, and he just wasn't it.
Yeah, he had the issue in training camp as well.
Yeah.
Paid him more money than they paid Corey Littleton. I feel like you got a lot less out of Damian Wilson.
Same.
So yeah, I think C- feels about right. A C is too high. So yeah, I agree. What about the next guy here?
Free safety Xavier Woods, 3 year, 15 million. A. I mean, just A. He was our best safety in my opinion. I don't think Jeremy Chin played as well as him this year.
No. And again, another guy that had some really, really good games. Now he I think had a wider variance maybe than Littleton, because he had some games where he was not that great.
Oh yeah,
But but he's 26 and the contract is for 3 years, and I feel like if we get this from him for the next 2 years, I'm happy with that. I think it's a pretty good deal.
agreed.
Good signing. And then we come to the last one here. Andre Roberts, 1 year, 1.7 million, just was hurt the whole year. So
Incomplete.
yeah, I mean, he looked good in the first game, but unfortunately, incomplete. Yeah, I would say probably won't be back next year if I had to guess.
Mm-mm.
Hmm.
Not unless Chris Taper's back. Tabor is back,
Yeah,
which does make me
uh,
worried.
we'll see, we'll see. But all right, well, let's look at the draft picks now. I think there's some interesting things to talk about here. So who was our number one pick, Jerry?
Uh, Ike Ekwonu, offensive tackle.
Oh yeah,
A plus. I mean, I think
yeah.
for a guy that started every game, he had some rough times, but for the most part, he was up. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, solid A, I think, for me. He seemed to improve as the year went on. He had some rookie hiccups, and that's to be expected. He's playing the most important position on the offensive line, and he played it really well. He was the best one we've had in years, and he's ours. He's on a deal for another 4 years, and
yeah,
then you sign him after that. I mean, he's our guy. He's an North Carolina guy, NC State guy. He would love probably to play his whole career here, and I think yeah, I agree with you. A plus, I think.
yeah. I mean, we have a left tackle, guys. It's been so long,
Yeah,
so long.
yeah,
The
yeah.
offensive line
It's
was
so nice
really,
not to have to think about it,
yeah.
right? Yeah,
Your quarterback's not gonna get the ball. I mean, Jordan Gross was the last. I mean, Michael Orr played that one season in 2015
hmm
and was pretty good, but that was
yeah.
it.
I mean, then it's just been the Cam Irvings of the world, and you know, Dennis Daly rotation, and like all kind, just terrible, terrible things. So you don't know how if you don't like the icky pick, just think of how nice it is not to have to think, what are we gonna do at left tackle? You don't have to think about that anymore.
Who's gonna
Um,
protect our quarterback?
right. So second round pick was traded to the Jets for Sam Darnold. Third round pick was traded to the Jaguars for CJ Henderson. Um, but in the third round, we did choose Matt Corral. I think we're gonna have to give this an incomplete.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, he didn't look great in what we saw in the preseason, but
I mean, that's preseason.
Cam didn't look great in his first few preseasons either. Not that Matt Corral's Cam, but you just can never tell with that first preseason game.
Yeah, and that's all we really got to see. And I was really
Yeah,
sad that he didn't get to come back and play, especially because he would have gotten a chance this year.
yeah, he would have. Who's the next guy?
Fourth round pick, Brandon Smith, linebacker out of Penn State. I really liked him. Fourth round pick, I'm going to give him a C. Maybe even a C minus. He just didn't see the field as much, but as a fourth round pick, it's kind of hard.
Yeah, yeah. I almost want to even go incomplete on him.
I mean, we can't go incomplete on all these guys
I
because
know, I
they
know,
didn't
but
play.
he didn't play that much, and was that because of Matt Rule, or was that because he just wasn't ready to play? He flashed in the preseason, and he flashed a couple of times during the season when he did play,
Mm-hmm.
but he also flashed for some bad reasons when he played.
Yeah.
He did not have a good season. So, yeah, I think I agree with you. I'm going to go C. Just because he does have talent, and under a different head coach, you could see some
And
improvement.
maybe he'll blossom. He has the physical traits. That's what I'm
Yeah.
liked. Speaking of physical traits, probably the fastest linebacker of all time. Joking, he's not all of all time. But sixth round pick, Amari Barno, linebacker. He didn't play much. He's another one. Okay for the times he plays. I'm gonna give him a B, but otherwise it's an incomplete because he only played like a few snaps, but he made a lot of those few snaps.
Yeah, he did. He had sack or two over the course of the season.
He almost had that interception. He read a
Yeah.
screen great.
Yeah, he's again another guy that showed flashes, right? But I felt like he didn't make as many bungles as Brandon Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't out there as much, I don't think, either.
No, he wasn't, and that's why I gave him a B over the C.
Yeah,
for what he played.
I'm gonna go C plus as well. I mean, again, 6th round pick. Nah, I'm gonna go B. 6th round pick. I'm gonna go B. Yeah,
All right.
and I think I'm gonna go B for this next guy too. Cade Mays, uh, offensive guard out of Tennessee, and maybe I'm gonna go B plus. He played a lot of fullback for
Mm-hmm.
us this year. So as a 6th round, towards the end of the 6th round pick, that's maybe as much as you can ask for to play as much as he did.
And let's be honest. So that last game, he ended up playing most of the game after
He
Austin
did.
Corbett, and he looked better than
He looked okay.
Michael Jordan on the left side, who
Who scored a
who
touchdown?
who's a veteran. So I would
How many
say B.
touchdowns did Cade Mays score? Michael Jordan says. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Maybe even I get an A, just because, again, bottom of the 6th round. I liked it when we picked him. I thought he would play more, but he didn't really have to. Luckily, because we had health the whole season on the line.
I know, that's crazy, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I'll go B plus, I guess.
All right, next guy. 7th round pick, Kalen Barrs, cornerback out of Baylor. F.
Yeah. Yeah.
He didn't make the roster, and then he signed on another team that's practice squad. So no.
Yeah. 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 He turned down our practice squad invitation. I think it went to Miami.
He did.
Yeah. So F you. Yeah. Let's really quick just talk about the trades that happened during the season, just as we kind of round up the transactions here. Obviously, the big one, Panthers traded CMC to San Francisco for a 2nd, a 3rd, a 4th, and a 5th-round pick. Most of them this year, the 5th-round pick next year. What do we grade this now that the season is over? We saw how good the Panthers played without McCaffrey, but we've also seen how amazing McCaffrey is, as we watch him in San Francisco. How do you feel about this trade?
I'm still frustrated with this trade. We got a lot.
Yeah.
But we also lost something so dynamic. I mean,
yeah,
in him. So I know some people say he was injury prone and stuff. In the past 2 years, yes, but before that, he was completely healthy. I still have mixed feelings on this trade. The only good thing is now this new regime will have some draft picks that the old regime gave up.
Yeah. This trade was made after Matt Rule was fired.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I would have loved to see Christian McCaffrey with a run-oriented offense.
Yeah.
Something, especially if it looked like they were willing to, share carries with Deontay Foreman and Chuba, something that we've been begging for a long time of, yes, he's dynamic, but don't hand him the ball, give him the ball all the time, let him breathe and not get hit.
Yeah. I think I'm going to give this trade, I guess, a B. Again, just because we gave away the best piece, right?
Yeah.
You never want to be on that end of the trade, but we did get a lot of possibilities back. We got a lot of capital, we got a lot of ammunition to improve the team. I think it's going to work out for both teams. In the end, one of those rare trades that both teams win. Like, that's what you hope for, because San Francisco definitely has won. They haven't lost really since he got there.
They may be one of the Super Bowl favorites.
I think so. Yeah, it feels like it.
There's another trade we got to talk about. We traded I believe a 5th-round pick for Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, conditional 5th would have been a 4th had he played enough snaps. He did not. So I think just based on that alone, you have to say an F.
F. Yeah, that was a bad one.
They took the shot, which you like. They didn't give up a lot, which you like. But it was terrible. He was awful.
It was so bad. I don't know if it was Matt Rule trying to be cutesy or if it was Ben McAdoo trying to be cutesy. But the game plan with him was so awful. And then when Wilkes was here, he still looked awful. So it was just like, oh.
Yeah, they never seem to play to his strengths.
Mm-mm.
and he just couldn't perform any other way. It was disappointing to watch. It cost us several games. You feel like
Oh yeah,
um,
it, if PJ Walker started Baker
all of
Mayfield's,
those Baker's games. Yeah,
I
you're
think
winning at least two of those.
that's what I think. I agree.
Yeah,
Like the Cleveland game, I think he
yeah,
could muster up better offense.
yeah. Giants game,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, you could easily score more points. Yeah, I think gotta go F. I don't. I can't even give him like points for trying
No.
because it just failed so badly and
I
probably cost us the season.
I didn't understand what the Cleveland fans were talking about because when I saw him there, I was like, oh, he doesn't look that bad. Oh God,
Yeah,
I was wrong.
yeah, bad. All right. Let's real quick just kind of look at some season-ending statistics. Yeah. Jerry,
Yeah.
who do you think led the Carolina Panthers in receiving this year? If you had to guess.
DJ Moore.
He did.
Okay, the way you asked that, I was like,
Yes, DJ Moore, 888 yards receiving this season, well below his standard. How do you think DJ did this season?
I mean, it's one of those things again. Like with when Baker was there, he never wanted to go to DJ. So
Yeah. He did have 7 touchdowns, which is a career high for him. And one of the things that I've always kind of ragged him on is, well, you catch 1,000 yards, but you only get 4 touchdowns every year. He definitely stepped it up in the red zone this year. I feel like he was stronger this year. But again, the quarterback play was just so bad. You know, I think
yeah,
he did all he could.
I also felt like he was going deep more this year than he was in previous
Yeah,
years.
the play calling for him wasn't
Yeah.
right because he's not Tyreek Hill. You know, he's
Well,
not
I mean,
that.
I felt like he kept getting free deep. It was
Yeah,
just, you know,
that's because the defender knew that there was no way the ball was coming to him with any sort of accuracy.
well, that's a good point.
Yeah, I did make the catch of the year in the Atlanta game, but kind of made the bonehead move of the year by taking his helmet off.
Yeah.
And even though it wasn't like officiated correctly, it doesn't seem like just don't take the chance. You know,
Yeah.
not required. Um, Terrace Marshall ended up with 490 receiving yards, and it kind of came on again towards the second half of the season. Feeling good about him again.
I feel like I'm very excited for a new coordinator to get their hands on him to help mold
Mm-hmm.
him. I mean, he has the talent. I mean, there's some contested catches that were just impressive.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that he can work on some of his route running and being able to get open a little bit better. But again, that could also be bad quarterback play that,
mm-hmm.
I mean, we've had constantly and bad play calling of the same 10 pass plays that we run.
Yeah, yeah. I thought he did pretty well for given the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to see what he does next. Shy Smith, 296 yards, a couple of touchdowns. McCaffrey, 277. Laviska Shenault, another trade that happened during the season that we forgot to talk about. Laviska Shenault
Yeah, and the next guy, Robbie Anderson, we forgot to talk about
and
that
Robbie
trade too.
Anderson as well. Yep. Um, I'm gonna say that the Visca trade is like a B+ because I think we have him for next year too,
Mm-hmm.
and the next coach is gonna be able to do something with him.
I agree. I liked
Yeah.
Chenault when he had the ball. We kept saying we wish they would do something besides that one play over. I mean, a drag route is not hard for him to run. If he
Right.
can't run a drag route, then there's some serious issues with him. But I
Right.
think that's more play calling. But
Yeah. And we're not gonna read everybody's stats here, but Robbie Anderson did get traded during the season. 206 yards receiving for him. We got a 6th and a 7th pick or round pick for him over the next couple of years. I'm gonna give that an A+.
I do too because I don't think
The
he
fact
caught
that we
but one
got
or
something.
two play
Yeah.
catches since
Yeah.
then.
The fact that we got anything for him is a win. So I do want to touch on the tight ends real quick, just because there is a A season-long bet.
We've already, yeah.
Ian Thomas had 197 yards. Tommy Tremble 174. I'm gonna give you Giovanni Ricci because he basically caught everything out of the tight end position. 100 yards for him. And Steven Sullivan 46 has 517 receiving yards for our tight ends combined, well under the 750 that Jerry predicted they would have. I have won the season-long beer bet.
Yes, you did. Oh, man.
We gotta upgrade. That's the position we have to upgrade at next year.
Yeah, I think you have to hit free agency on that because rookie tight ends just are so hard to pick. You're right. I thought with Ben McAdoo running the play calling, considering, and he loved to throw that one play over and over again.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it just showed how bad our tight ends were because they dropped it most times.
Yeah. They tried to get him involved, I feel like.
Yeah.
But didn't work out. I don't think those guys are very talented. So would not be surprised to see most of them not on the team next year. Outside of Ian Thomas, who I guess we could cut. He's not that much money, but you're gonna keep him. There's some receivers by some other guys too, but in the sake of sanity and time, we're not gonna go through all of them. Let's talk about the running backs real quick. Deontay Foreman, 203 carries, 914 yards, 5 touchdowns. Great season for Deontay Foreman.
Oh yeah,
earned himself a contract.
And for a guy who some people wrote off before the season of being, kind of end of his career already. I mean, he had a resurgence. Could have really almost hit 1,000 yards, but he threw a punch. Shouldn't have done that.
Yep, that's going to be a little hit, but overall a great season. And we talked about him a lot during the signing. So, Chuba, 95 attempts, 466 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He had a pretty good season too.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like once they started putting him in, it was nice. It was nice at 1-2.
Yeah.
Third, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he's still played 6 games, 85 rushing attempts, 393, 2 touchdowns. I mean,
he's good.
Yeah,
he's good.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, we're not going to go through all the rest of them either, but just a handful of yards for some other guys, some quarterbacks, LaVisca, those guys. So let's talk the quarterbacks real quick. Baker Mayfield, 1,313 yards, 57.8 completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Sucked. PJ Walker, 731 passing yards, almost a 60% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Was okay, but ultimately not very good.
I mean, that is PJ Walker. Okay.
Yeah.
3-3 is perfect for him, in my opinion. That spells what he is.
Yeah. Jacob Eason came in through an interception, and then we have Sam Darnold, who 58.6 completion percentage, 1,143 yards, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Had a very good year for Sam Darnold.
Yeah. And he didn't throw that interceptions until Tampa Bay and New Orleans. And here's the thing, is that's when the O-line kind of struggled a little bit. Any pressure Sam Darnold gets on him, he struggles. And that's just the MO on him. He's not consistent enough, and especially when you get in his face, he struggles.
Yep. And we saw that. And when we played teams that were capable of doing that, Sam Darnold reverted back to Sam Darnold, in my opinion. So that's the offense. I would say kind of a C minus for the offense for the year.
Yeah, pretty much. I would even D plus maybe.
Yeah, I was maybe being a little generous. All right.
Positives: offensive line looked really good.
Yeah, offensive line looked great. Which we talked about in our signings mostly because most of those guys are new.
Yep. All right, and now we're going to quickly look at the defense. We have Shaq Thompson leading all tacklers with 135. Frankie Louvu second, 111. Xavier Woods, 86. Jeremy Chin, 70. Derek Brown, 67. Moving on, we're going to go ahead. I'm just trying to get through these a little bit faster. If my computer wanted to go ahead and update the stats. So we're going to look at sacks. Brian Birds led the way, 12.5. He got his double digits. So good for him. Next, Frankie Louvu, 7.
Awesome season.
Awesome season, man. Marquise Haynes, 5, and a bunch of other guys had a couple.
Yetur had 2.5. Barno did end up with 2, by the way.
Yeah.
So
I wish I don't have snap counts here, but I'm sure it's way less than.
Oh yeah, way less.
Way less than.
Yeah, we'll talk general offense or defense here in a minute, but we do just want to get through the stats. But yeah, Luvu standout, awesome. And
Yeah.
Burns finally getting double-digit sacks like that. I think that's big.
Yeah. Tackles for loss, Frankie Louvu, 19. Brian Burns, 17. Shaq Thompson, 8. I mean, pretty solid.
Big gap there.
Yeah. And I feel like I kind of wish Shaq would have a little bit more there because being that linebacker, you kind of wish he knifes in a little bit more like Keegan.
They didn't have him rushing the quarterback that much this year.
You know what's big? We'll look at some PFF pass rushing attempts and stuff maybe in another podcast and kind of see. Interceptions, J.C. Horn with 3, Dante Jackson with 2. Man, Dante Jackson had 2. Felt like so long ago he was here that he missed both this season. C.J. Henderson with 2. So, all right. I mean,
yeah. We'll give Derek Brown his due. Derek Brown and Frankie Louvu both also had 1. So, don't usually get to see the defensive tackles getting interceptions.
Oh, that's true. That's very true. That is a very interesting stat that we had 2 defensive tackles with 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
And guess what? Keith Taylor had 0.
Yeah. Just kind of overall on the defense. Shaq Thompson again had a kind of a Shaq Thompson year, right?
Yeah, he's
like
good.
Said, yeah, we would just want to see more from him.
I feel like he's not Pro Bowl he's a solid starter, and we want to see him get to the Pro Bowl level.
Yeah,
that's all we're hoping for. We're not knocking him bad. It's
just be a Pro Bowler or a fringe Pro Bowler.
And you're getting paid like it. I guess that's part of the issue. And he may not be coming back next year. He's a big cap hit.
He's one of the guys that you would not be surprised if he gets cut, if he's a cap casualty, for sure.
Yeah. Or at least restructuring, which I more likely see.
We've heaped some praise on Frankie Louvu, but let's just do it one more time. Great value, number 1, like for his contract, his production is awesome. So I'm hoping that he earns a contract extension here at some point because he's still very young and I'd like to keep him around because he's awesome.
He's a spark plug, man. We said it last year. He lights a fire in that defense. He makes those key plays that, woohoo, pumps up the defense.
Yeah. Love Frankie Louvu. Jeremy Chin, kind of a down year, I think.
Yeah. In my opinion, yes. It felt like, again, it's one of those things where we think he may be out of position playing at that safety spot, but they didn't want to move him. So he just doesn't make impact plays like he does when he's closer to the line.
Yeah. I mean, he's a guy that is so flippin' athletic. Like, I understand why you would want him back there as a safety, but that's not where he's best. So I'm hoping that the next coach comes in and is able to really unleash Jeremy Chin.
Me too.
Yeah. Any other standouts or people you want to kind of talk about? I know we're going to talk about a couple in our awards section, but.
No, I think you touched on Derek Brown. You touched on, we've touched on Deontay Foreman, Icky, Brady Christensen. He was the weakest part of the line, and he was solid. So good. I mean, overall, man, that offensive line, hats off.
Yeah. CJ Henderson, I think, probably not good.
Yeah,
I mean, is he a failed experiment?
I think he is. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe he can be a depth guy, but I mean, honestly,
That's
that's one position I thought was going to be a strength this year. And
hmm
right now, I think we need one or two more corners on this roster to be complete.
yeah.
Because A, Dante Jackson's injury prone. B,
Yep.
J.C. Horn is injury prone. And I
Yep.
don't trust C.J. Henderson or Keith Taylor out there starting.
No, and nor should you. Nor should you. They've proven that they are not worthy of that trust. Yeah. Uh, Bench guy feels like CJ Henderson's ceiling right now, unfortunately. So maybe a new coach can come in and unlock something. But if Steve Wilkes couldn't, I don't think
That
anybody else is going to be able to.
that's kind of my thought too. I mean,
Yeah.
mm.
Yeah. All right. You want to hit some awards?
Let's do the awards.
Okay. Go ahead and kick us off, Jerry.
We're gonna start off with a negative. Least valuable player.
You don't get to start out with a positive until you win more than 9 games.
Well, we end on a positive. I want to.
Yeah, I know. Least valuable player. Who you got?
I'm going Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield started. We were upset that he didn't easily just get the starting job, and he did not look good when he played. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I think if we started Sam Darnold or PJ Walker, we win one or two more games.
Agree. There's really no other option here. It's the most important position on the team, and he was awful. Absolutely awful. So, play of the year. There's really only one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Hail Mary
Mary.
from PJ Walker to DJ Moore. He somehow gets separation, gets the touchdown
Yeah.
to tie it.
Takes his helmet off in celebration, and we lose the game.
We're not talking about that part, but that play was, oh, man.
Amazing play, and that'll live in Panthers history for sure.
Yeah. Going down to surprise of the year. I'll let you take this one first.
My surprise of the year is Josh Norman.
Mm.
If you would have asked me at the beginning of the year if Josh Norman would have been on this football team at some point, I would have said absolutely not. He came in, not only that, he kind of played well when he had a chance, just coming off the couch.
Yeah.
If you told me that we were going to have Josh Norman in camp next year, I think I'd be okay with that.
At 36 years old, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, but that's my surprise of the year. What do you got?
I got the CMC. I got a doubleheader. CMC
Okay.
trade, and then Deontay Foreman being able to handle the load and rush the way he did.
Yeah, I think. See, Deontay Foreman, not a total surprise because he looked good in Tennessee last year too. But the fact that the running game was better after McCaffrey left, and a lot of that is Steve Wilkes.
Yeah.
But still, you're losing like the best running back in the league, in my opinion, and your running game doesn't drop off. It actually goes up. So that is surprising. Yeah. All right. Most improved player of the year. Who you got?
Well, we discussed this one before. It's Derek Brown. I mean, dude played at almost an all-pro level this year. He didn't get a Pro Bowl. It was a Pro Bowl snub, in my opinion.
Yeah, big one.
I mean, he's just one of those guys who doesn't get the flashy stats. So when people vote, they just vote for people who they know or the flashy stats, and he's just not that type of player, unfortunately.
Yeah, but if you watch him in the game, he's controlling things down there. Like he is a big dude. He's in the backfield all the time.
He has so many pressures on quarterbacks. It's insane for a defensive tackle.
He is really good. And if this is like now his floor, then the next 5 to 7 years with him are going to be really fun.
Oh, yeah. Especially if we could get in our interior another edge rusher kind of pair with. Oh, that's going to be some fun.
Oh, yeah.
Rookie of the year, there's only one choice, Ike Ekwonu. I mean, Yeah, no
Yep.
questions.
So we talked about him earlier, but absolute killer pick. Um, that position is solved.
Solved.
Yep.
Finally.
All right, we're going with the non-Steve Wilkes Coach of the Year. Yeah, so Steve Wilkes is the Coach of the Year. Right? No,
Obviously.
there's no question asked.
He turned this
But there might
season
be,
around.
yeah, there might be a question of who the next best Coach of the Year is. So who do you have, Jerry?
I
I
have
bet it's the same one.
James Campen, offensive line coach, came in this offseason. He completely revamped this offensive line to be in my opinion, a top 10 unit.
Yep. Yeah, same. He was great, and I hope whoever the next coach is here retains him because he is very, very good at what he does.
And an honorable mention to Chris Tabor because the special teams did look a lot better. Bringing
It
it
kind of fell off towards the end of the year. The kickoff return game, especially.
Well, I mean, because they wanted Andre Roberts back. But
no, I'm talking about defensively. But yeah, it. I think he did a good job as well. I would love to have him back.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Defensive MVP. Brian Burns.
Brian Burns.
Disruptive force.
Yeah, I mean, and that's with no one on the other side really pressuring. I mean, it was Frankie Louvu was the only other pass rush threat. So, yeah, give it to him. No doubts.
I mean, he's worth 2 first-round picks from a dying team. So he needed a year like this, in my opinion. He needed it to validate that because whether or not they wanted it to be, it was out there. I think that's going to be tied to him in a lot of people's minds for a long time. Like, how is he playing versus 2 first-round draft picks? Right.
Yeah.
So I think he did justify that a little bit so far. Ugh. And if this is a ceiling, then I'm excited.
All right. And now offensive MVP. We really should have ended on defensive MVP. It's a lot more fun on this team.
This one, I feel like you kind of have to go Deontay Foreman, right?
Yeah, that's who I have. I mean, DJ Moore had kind of a down year for him. I don't think it's his fault, but Deontay Foreman.
Yeah. Yep, Deontay Foreman, 100%. And then shout out to DJ Moore, but again, the passing game was just not there for you to dominate. So.
Nope.
All right. Any other final thoughts?
I'm sad we didn't make the playoffs, but it was a fun ride.
It was not a boring season.
No.
Not a boring season.
I felt like
if you're not good, then I guess that's what you have to hope for.
I was going to say, I felt like there were so many times that early in the season, we got an emergency podcast. We need to record.
Yep. And now that the next one's going to be the new head coach. That'll be our next emergency podcast.
Yep.
So until then.
We want to thank everyone for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at MeowMix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com and leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it on the show. Please like and subscribe. Man, we've been recording for almost 2 hours now.
I know. Like I said, we'll probably the next time we'll be back is when they hire a head coach. So until then, everybody stay safe out there and keep pounding.